Oh my god, it's climbing the tree. So I have to be honest, this was a surprise. And definitely not something I was expecting to see on the lawn first thing on a Thursday morning. Hey there, we have a lot of camellia bushes in the garden, and they're used all year round by the locals that live here. Most visibly by the noisy miners. If I love the camellias for the colour they bring in winter, the noisy miners love them for the nectar and the insects they attract. In fact, they'll happily pluck this St Andrew's cross spider out of its web and eat that as well. At the back, there's a long, untouched range of hills, and the virgin bush there stretches away for miles and miles. It's teeming with nature. But on Thursday morning, I discovered that when it gets hot, some of those residents of the hills commute down to escape the heat. And that's why I had a 4-foot diamond python arcing its way across our lawn. And it turns out that they also like camellias. So we've lived in Sydney for 20 years now, despite the accent, but I've never ever had a really big, scary snake in the back garden before.
I did mention it to my neighbour because, there's a big snake slithering around. And his take on it was, oh yeah, mate, I know the one. No dramas. He's one of the locals.
Which is nice, although that could still make for a nasty surprise for either me or the noisy miners. The good news is that these pythons are not poisonous, and they're actually quite shy, so the noise of lots of humans slathering excitedly into their phones seems to have left it with a strong urge to leave the garden. So it just poured itself through the fence. And that is a year, really, because it really did. Unless it used a gap that I can't see, it did just go straight through one of those diamond, of course, shaped holes in the wire mesh fence. They're only 50 millimeters. I guess if your head fits through, then the rest is about muscle constriction. I mean, it is a python. And then it was out the other side and very happily meandering through the undergrowth, checking out bits of my neighbour's fence, and just generally enjoying life and being in the sunshine. I had quite an altered sense of reality for a few days, having seen something so otherworldly, or just same worldly but existing in a different reality to a different set of physical rules or capabilities. Snakes, eh? There's a funny postscript to this. A couple of days later, I was driving back home at night, and it is very dark and isolated down this little road that leads to the house. And I just saw from the corner of my eye that a big piece of the road was moving, so I stopped just in time. And yeah, it was a 4-foot long diamond python crossing the road. So I'd like to think that it was the same one. I got out the car and I could see it was completely okay. I hadn't hit it. So I just stood and watched it, and it crossed the road and headed into the undergrowth, moving uphill and back to the forest. And I really won't forget that one for a long, long time. Thanks for reaching the end with me. I like this one because it's one of the edges of Rosie's Edge, an edge with occasional stories without roses. And if you like that snaky story, it would really help me if you'd hit subscribe. I can only grow this channel with your help, so please hit subscribe. And if you don't subscribe, you're forbidden from playing on and watching this really funny footage of some noisy miners on the gutter which I couldn't fit in. No, don't you watch it. I forbid you. Subscribe first. Subscribe first. Thanks. Alright, you can watch it now.